Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Gabe.
It's Caleb.
And today you are tuning into another episode of the Positive Outlook podcast. And Caleb, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about keep moving forward. But
Amen.
before we get into it, what do we always start every episode with?
Every great Positive Outlook episode starts with a question of the day. And today it is my turn to ask question of the day. So, my question of the day is, have you ever been faced with a challenge or something that just felt so suffocating, felt like you were just getting strangled by life, and ultimately you felt like it was pushing you further and further away from your goals? But when you got out of it, you realized you were so much closer to a separate goal, and you realize this is where you should be, and that maybe you were wrong in trying to attempt the other one in the first place. Does that make sense? It
Absolutely.
was kind of a
Yeah, yeah.
loaded question of the day, but yeah, yeah.
No, 100%. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast plenty of times, but this is one that just really rings true. Is during my wrestling career in high school, it ended very abruptly with an injury. And at that time, I was so focused and I guess you could say identity warped in this goal I was chasing for wrestling that in being pushed away from being able to attain that, I kind of learned all the lessons I needed to as far as, focusing on the journey and processes and refocusing the things that I needed to pull from all these things to help push me towards my next goal, which was being a pilot, which is ironically now a similar situation where I got pushed away from that and I'm working on refocusing and bringing me closer to other goals as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a circular moment in a sense, but I think it's a really important thing. And I couldn't be happier of the lessons I've been learning along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that kind of ties into that episode we did, resilience versus resistance, where sometimes you think you're supposed to be just be going straight down this path to whatever's straight ahead of you, right? But while you're on the path, you get knocked around, you get spun around, you get twisted, you get lost in the fog, and you're like, where the hell am I even facing now? What am I supposed to be doing? And then you take that step back and you realize you're so far away from where you thought you were going, but where you're at now, you're so happy with and you're so satisfied with, like, dude, I just grew into this incredible person because of all these challenges. I don't even want to do what I was thinking about earlier, right?
Yeah,
That was just like a goal I had when I was young, cool, whatever. I've grown so much over the last couple of years. Look at what I'm capable of achieving now. This is so cool. And so
100%.
I think that's
So
really cool.
let's flip it, and it's your turn.
All right, yeah. So, I don't know, maybe just general. I'm trying to be careful because my dog is right under the desk right now. She's behind my computer. So
Don't squish her, man.
if
Don't
s-
squish her.
if something goes out, it's her fault. She's all tangled up in cords. She'll figure it out. She's a smart girl. So, but yeah. So as I was saying, kind of generalize it, right? And I like to have this viewpoint when it comes to relationships. So whether it's a significant other, a friendship, family, whatever it is, sometimes we feel like this relationship, if it becomes severed, we're going to lose everything, right? Because
Mhm.
it's what we've put our all into. So the relationship becomes severed. Now you're unsure of who you even are, right? You have that identity crisis of like, wow, I've done everything with this other person for so long. What's next? Like, how am I supposed to function alone? I don't even know what makes me happy. I don't even know what I should be going out and doing, right? So eventually you're forced to go back into yourself and you're forced to learn and you're forced to remember who you are. And you come out on the other side of this and you're like, man, maybe that breakup was just a stepping stone, right? Maybe I was supposed to become this person. Maybe I was supposed to lose that friendship because maybe we were heading down an improper path. We weren't pushing each other, we weren't motivating each other. Stuff like that, right? So I guess my best example would just be breakups, whether it's
100%.
friendships
And I
or significant other.
And I think that's awesome because I mean, really, what I like about it is it's just kind of reframing these super negative things. And
Hmm.
and I know that was kind of the basis of the question, but I think that's really important is because we talk about this all the time. How you tell your story is who you are.
Yeah.
And so when you can flip and start focusing on the positive aspects of it,
Yep.
it becomes something more hopeful with more to build on rather than looking at what's left behind. And I really think that that's I mean it just, says a lot about you and that's a good one.
Yeah. I think I think one thing that is severely underappreciated and undervalued in today's society is optimism. Because, like,
Mm,
we always say, like, yada, yada, just be happy, just smile, everything like that. But ultimately, if you can actually start to see the good in everything, life becomes good because what
yeah,
you see becomes your reality, It's what you pay attention to. And
for sure.
it's like that one exercise we did in the episode a couple times ago. It's like, hey, look around your room, try to find everything that's red, close your eyes, now tell me everything you saw that was blue. And it's like, well, I wasn't looking for the blue. Why would I know that there's blue there? Why would I have been paying attention to that? And it's the same thing as
Exactly.
that. It's like if you're always looking for the bad, if you're always trying to find a reason to be sad, trying to reinforce that victim mentality, you're always going to find something to reinforce it. It's going to be there.
100%. And it's kind of like I have a very similar saying that I really like, which is what you aim at is what you see. It's the exact same concept.
Yeah.
Whatever you are focused on at the end of the day is where you're headed towards. And that's something that's actually kind of scary. Is I recently was kind of trapped in this spot, in mentally speaking, where all I could focus on was the negatives over and
Mhm.
over and over. And I turned into this big ball of negative
Yep.
anxiety, trying to like figure out what's going on. And what do you know? Things kept getting worse the more I started focusing on it. And I just hit a point where I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Mhm.
And I just kind of pulled myself out of that. It was like, this isn't going to get you anywhere. Like, let's just stop focusing on the negatives and turn this ship around.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think massive, huge action you can take right now is tell yourself, right? Everybody has their story. Everybody has their story that they've been telling themselves, and it's getting in the way of your goals, your relationships, your finances, no matter what it is. Everybody has a set of limiting beliefs. So it's really important to identify your limiting belief and then just say, that's not me anymore. It's not serving me. It's not doing me any good. So why would you feed into it? Why would you keep hanging on to it? So instead, shift it. Say, whatever it is that it was, find the antithesis and just ride with that.
And it the reason that I wanted to talk about keep moving forward is because, like I said, I was in a really bad spot and I'm turning things around, but I'm still there's times where I feel like I'm just in neutral. I'm not in a
Mhm.
positive spot. I'm better. I know I'm in a better spot than I was, but that's when it's the most important to keep moving forward
Yep.
because you'll notice that little by little, like literally, sometimes it's fractional improvement,
Mhm.
but things are slowly changing, and it's so impossible to see day to day when you don't have any exact results to go, hey, I did this today.
Yeah.
Because that's something that not a lot of motivational speakers talk about, right? They're always so focused on the end goal, which is a good thing, but they're so focused on that point of what your end goal is that it's really easy to feel like there isn't enough progress in between that. And that can really turn people away from continuing towards their goal.
Right. So, I guess yeah. Let's get into it. Let's talk about keep moving forward. So, what's the meaning behind keep moving forward? I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but what is it?
Yeah, it's just when no matter what, keep moving forward. I know that's really it
Yeah.
sounds like duh, and that's what you just said,
Right.
but no matter what means in the good times and the bad. And I really want to emphasize the bad because it's so easy to get swept up and lost in the bad that it feels like there's no possible way forward. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I've personally had recent days where it's like even moving, like just getting myself out of bed is not an easy task,
Yeah.
and it's the action of keep moving forward that makes it a little bit easier and keeps you a little bit stronger each time.
Yeah. And then I wanna target at the other half of this because it's kind of yin and yang here because when I was dealing with super bad depression and anxiety, right? It's like you pretty much do everything you can just to scrape by every day. That's it. You're like
Mhm.
you wake up in the morning, you're like, shit, I didn't like want to wake up, you know what I mean? Why am I here? I don't feel my purpose. I don't feel fueled. Like what am I even supposed to be doing? I just want this day to end. I'll go to bed. I'll wake up, tomorrow's a new day. Whatever. But on the opposite end, when you have good days and you're up and you're like, all right, you know what? I'm going to make something happen today. I feel a little bit of energy, yada, yada. When you feel good days, I remember when I was there, I was so scared to ruin my good day by doing things that might push me, that push me out of my comfort zone. I was so scared to do things that might ruin my good day that I wouldn't take action on good days. So even on your good days, right? Keep moving forward because that's how you build momentum and that's how you overcome those negative thoughts and those negative beliefs and you just keep moving forward, right?
And I do think that sometimes that's a super easy spot to slip in too, is on top of that, you're on your good day, you've had a good day, and you're like, you know what, today was a good day. Like I'm just gonna keep it right here because I did things that were better than yesterday. And this is where we recently talked about kind of how complacency can be a distraction of
Mhm.
progress. And that's kind of one of those things where you're complacent with the fact that you've done a little bit more, that you stop pushing right then and there.
Yep.
And that's really when it's time to put it into overdrive. And again, this is a message that I could definitely be using right now. I've come a pretty long ways from my kind of like, what am I going to do, how am I going to figure this out, and there's a lot in between there, but it's so important to just keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to dive into the spotlight effect real quick because it's something we haven't talked about in a while, but it's really important for us to bring up just because it's important for people to keep in mind. Is that ultimately, whether it's a goal you're chasing or you're scared to ask out the girl, whatever it may be, you're so worried about what everyone else is going to think about you. You're so worried about, like, what if I fail? This could be embarrassing. It might be humiliating. Well, guess what, guys? Everybody else who is around you, who's in that environment, everybody else your age, no matter who it is, they're all thinking the same thing about themselves. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a crap what you're doing, right? They're all worried about themselves too. They're like, "Oh, what if they see me do this? What if they see me do that?" Who cares? No one's paying attention to you. Keep moving forward. Do what makes you happy, and don't be afraid to fail because failure is not the opposite of success. It's simply the stepping stones to it.
And honestly, another I feel like another good message for this is understand that if you're uncomfortable, that actually could be a sign that you're doing the right thing. And
Mhm.
that's a weird thing to hear because I feel like we're kind of in a time where comfort is like the number one priority across the board.
Yep.
And there's obviously certain aspects where comfort is a necessity. I'm not going to try and, negate the whole thing, but the point is that when you're uncomfortable, that's when you have the most growth,
Mhm.
whatever it is. So, whether it's getting out of bed an hour earlier or forcing yourself into the gym or whatever it is that that you've kind of been avoidant of, it's going to make you uncomfortable. It's not
Mhm.
going to be something that's, lackadaisical and easy, but that means that you are growing into the person that you need to be.
Yeah. Now, when you're in it, right? You're like, "All right, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to start moving forward. I'm going to push myself." And you start to feel the resistance of life because you're going to. It's inevitable. You start to feel the struggle. What is the difference between rest and quitting?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say generally, and I don't know. I don't have like a specific like, oh, if
Right.
it's X amount of time, you have to rest, but if
Yeah.
it's X amount of time, you're quitting.
Yeah.
But I would just say that something innately, like if you know that you've been putting full blast effort into it, like
Mhm.
take a break, take a quick breather, understand that we all need rest.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I would say quitting is not getting back to it.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
absolutely.
about you?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of remembering your mission and remembering what your mission is and then giving, like you said, giving your all into it. And then sometimes, man, life just beats you down and you need to take that step back and you need to take a breather. But one thing I will say is that, well, it's obvious progress doesn't always look like forward motion, right? Sometimes it's one step forward and two steps back, and you don't feel like you're making progress. But as long as you keep moving forward, right, you're going to be heading towards your goal. But it's really important when you feel like giving up and when you feel like you just want to quit, understand your mission and why am I here? Why did I start? Why am I doing this? Look how far I've come, and is my fear greater than my mission? Is my fear, whether it's my fear of feeling discomfort, my fear of failure, is that greater than my mission? And would I accept that? Right? Would you accept that? You know what I mean? So take that step back, have gratitude, be grateful for everything that's coming your way, and just be unstoppable.
And I would say another thing too, another key component is knowing yourself because we all know personally, generally speaking, when we're selling ourselves short versus we're resting. And the line does blur. We're all human and a lot of us are our own hardest critics. And especially when you're stuck in a spot of whether it's like mental laziness, or maybe you're in a depressive state, or something that like physically or emotionally makes you feel like you cannot do anything. Like there's a lot of factors to it, but I genuinely believe that we most of the time know when we're selling ourselves short.
Mhm.
If that's the case, that right there is the main key component of difference.
Absolutely. And then I wanna just empower anybody who's listening right now, anybody who's listening to this. If you feel like you have a goal that seems too big for you, you say, "I'm just an ordinary dude. I don't know how I'm supposed to achieve this goal. I don't have any special opportunities. I don't have any special talents." Well, listen, guys, anybody else who has become a legend ever was just an ordinary person too, except they had extraordinary dedication. And that's what you guys need to have. You need to understand your mission and you need to set aside the fear because the fear is never going to be bigger than your true purpose. The fear is never going to be bigger than your mission. So, understand that you just need to have extraordinary dedication and you can become a legend because every legend was once ordinary.
1000%. That was beautifully said. And no matter what, no matter what, keep moving forward. You've got this.
Yeah.
You've got this. And sometimes that's all you need to hear. Sometimes you just need a little reminder because there's so much negativity out there telling you the exact opposite,
Yep.
whether it's your own mind or it's social media or it's the peers around you that failed at their goals. And so they want you to also fail
Yep.
because misery loves company. No matter what, push through and keep going.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problem with my like coworkers. They're great people, but they're in a place that I've been tempted to be convinced. Like, look, dude, you ended up here. Like, you're stuck here, and no matter what, I'm gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't you?
Boom. Two things. I want to say two things. Number
Hmm.
one is when you're trying something and you're telling people about your goals, never take advice from somebody who has never tried. And if you do take advice from that person, take it with a grain of salt because if they failed, they're insecure and they want you to fail too. Secondly, imagine, right? Like I'm just like, "Hey Caleb, I want to go to the NFL, dude. I want to play in the NFL next year." Or not next year, but whatever. I want to be in the NFL. Caleb's
Hmm.
like, "Dude, you can't be in the NFL. Like you can't even go run a mile right now if you wanted to." And I'm like, "Dude, what the heck?" But then imagine like Tom Brady is right next to Caleb when I say like Tom Brady would be like, "Gabe, you can play in the NFL. Like you can make it. I know you can." You know what I mean? So there's people that have succeeded and people that have done it and they want to lift you up and they want to empower you. If people are there to bring you down, if people are there to poop on your parade, it's because that they had their parade pooped on, whether it was by themselves or somebody else, and they stayed down. Because winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. And that's important to keep in mind.
100,000%.
Awesome. Well, I think that was all we had to say for today's episode. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add.
I have one last message, and it is probably the most important. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Amen. Hey, if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for tuning into our content. We appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, make sure to share us with a friend. Comment your favorite color if you made it this far. And follow us on TikTok, Instagram. I would say Facebook, but that doesn't really make sense because Facebook is Facebook. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
So hit us up on Instagram. Let us know if there's any episodes you guys want to hear, anything like that. We love hearing from you guys very much. And also, we're almost to 1,800 subscribers. It's pretty cool, pretty
Yes,
casual, pretty cool.
we're pretty close.
Um,
Man, we used
so
to
that's,
do
that's pretty
we used to do a ton of giveaways on this channel and they would make us grow so fast. And I remember we did a $500 giveaway of 500. Did we do 1,000 at 1,000?
what was the 1,000? No, we donated 1,000.
Yeah, right. Cause yeah. So we were just like giving out money and people were like, yeah, sign me up. And so I would always think like when we were younger doing this and I was like, what happens when we hit like 10,000? Like, I don't have $10,000. What are we going to do? And so yeah, it's just hilarious. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for helping us grow continually. I know we had a bit of a hiatus. We've been consistent now for about half a year, so it feels really good to be back. And
Mhm.
yeah, just keep in mind, guys, just have that extraordinary dedication, and you'll become a legend. That's it. You're capable of anything you set your mind to. Nothing can stop you.
and just keep moving forward, guys. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in and happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Peace.